This is The Basketball Show with Shane the Hammer Heel. What they gonna say next?
It sure is. It's all thanks to TCL Mobile, 2K23 and UPCOZ. Joe Healy, Shane Hill with you. Maddie and Derek coming up shortly as well. We've also got Breakers coach Mody Maor on. And yes, we will be talking about Kyrie and the Mavs.
Yes, we will.
Hammer, where on earth do we start?
There is so much basketball happening. Men's, women's, here in Australia, the NBA, it's all happening.
It is. I've got two things. First of all, last week you had a new shirt. You're in the same shirt again.
That's what I do. That's what I do. Old Faithful. This becomes Old Faithful.
Why? Secondly, there's still not been any disclosure on why you're not coaching the Flames and what's happening or happened with the organisation. Do you have an update this week?
No updates, Joe. And Director Dave said some people said I was too jovial when I had to discuss it last week. The facts are I've been handed a bit of paper and I'm not allowed to say one word.
Okay.
That's all I can say. But what I do want to say is a big congrats to my old mate, Shelley Gorman.
Yes.
She's
That was
taken
really
over.
nice.
She got her first win and the team treated her like they should with the celebration because she's a champion person and a champion basketball player and now hopefully a coach. Someone needs to pick her up next year. She's a superstar.
Oh, that's really sweet. The vision in the locker room after that game was fantastic. And what people may not have known as well is that the situation between yourself and the Flames and Shyla and the Flames was in fact a sort of different scenario, unrelated, 100%. Which is why she is now with Townsville, which we will get to shortly in our TCL starting five. So let's get straight to it. It is our TCL starting five. We've got a sixth and seventh man this week, though, because we've got far too much to get through. We've got to talk about the final day of the NBL regular season. Have you ever seen anything like that? I thought last year was crazy.
Well, we were both on it. We said that the play-in system was going to be awesome, but no one would have dreamed that it could have been this great to the final day. There was 4 extra teams that were playing right to the end, you know, counting baskets and counting points right to the final play about who was going to make it. Larry and Jeremy could not have dreamt of a better finish for these teams. No,
exactly right. And wait for the Perth Wildcats to show up against the Sydney Kings, who hadn't lost a game by more than 10 all season.
Melbourne United.
They looked very, very good. Inconsistency going into the play-in tournament.
What about Melbourne, though? You've got to think of Melbourne. They're probably watching it as a team. They've got a big esky full of beers on one side. On the other side, they're thinking we're going to play a game on Thursday, and one basket separates the two, and all of a sudden they're in Mad Monday.
Now, the only thing I wanted to add to this is the clarification.
Yes.
Have the Phoenix and Perth, I'm so confused right now, made the finals?
No, they haven't. It's the play-in games, right?
Yes.
So they're playing now to see whether they can make the playoffs.
I think I'm with you there.
So they're not in the finals yet. We love the concept. It's awesome if they win those games. And I actually love the way it's done, that if third plays fourth, the winner goes through. Mm-hmm. If you finish third or fourth and you can't win one game out of 2, you don't deserve to be in the playoffs.
That's going to be, that first game between Cairns and Tassie is going to be very interesting because of the injury complications, which we'll get to in just a second. Yep. First of all, I want to ask about the percentage, because as we were saying, between Perth and Melbourne United, it was going up and down.
Yes.
How much is this a clear-cut reminder to play to the buzzer every single opportunity?
The Brisbane Import brought it up, right? What's his name? The import, the 2-man, the American, said, oh, well, you know, I can't believe people are playing to the end and taking shots and whatever else because they dribble it out.
It's an old school way of thinking though, isn't it?
Well, but this just is the perfect example of why you have to play to the buzzer, because 1 point makes a difference between missing out and making it. It's different rules. It's a different category, and this is the way it should be. Play to the end. It might hurt some of the DPs and, you know, getting opportunities in scrub time, because the difference between winning by 20 and 30 in a game or losing by 20 or 30 comes down to this exact situation.
1 point across an entire season is absolutely bonkers.
Make your free throws.
As I mentioned, Cairns and the Jack Jumpers,
Yes.
two teams who have been pretty impressive throughout the season, the Taipans especially, but both are going in with massive injury issues. Keanu Pinder for the Taipans doesn't look like he'll be back until after the FIBA window, so we're talking game 3 of the semi-final series and the grand final series if they make it. For the Jack Jumpers though, Josh Majette looks like he'll miss the remainder of the season. He copped a tough knock the other day, broken cheekbone and fractured eye socket, I believe it is.
Cairns have shown they win without Pinder anyway. Mm-hmm. This is a massive hit, as good as Pinder is, mind you, because he's been a superstar this year. But Majette being out for Tassie is a massive hit. They've got other people that will sort of pick up some of the slack, but he's a veteran, he makes good decisions, he's led that team. They're not beating Cairns in my mind.
Okay, Cairns go through?
Cairns go through. They've been impressive. I love the way Cairns have played. 40's done a tremendous job. I expected them in the second half of the year to drop off.
Yeah, okay. No, they've been great. They've been good fun. The Sydney Kings obviously finished on top of the ladder. They lost their last 2 games though. Is that cause for concern going in? They've got 10 days off.
It's not ideal, but in both those games they had their superstars one each time, with Walton Jr. and also Cooks sitting out. So they would have wanted to win those games and they played to win. But it's not ideal, but it doesn't make much difference in the bigger picture.
What do you make of people suggesting that the Kings weren't exactly playing to that 11-point sort of buffer against Perth?
Really? For what reason?
I've seen a little bit of commentary about it.
Yeah, but everyone's going to have it from their own point of view. The Kings don't like Perth or Melbourne. It's not like they're playing to help Perth.
I loved it. I'm not sure the owner and CEO would be over there courtside if they didn't really want to win.
Yeah, they're trying to win. They were outplayed in the end. So
yeah, no, it was interesting. At WNBA free agency, there are a couple of super teams forming over in the States, the Aces and New York Liberty.
Oh my goodness. Mm-hmm. New York have made some power plays to be able to get Brianna Stewart and
Courtney Vandersloot as well. Big pickup.
Yeah, it's incredible what both teams have been able to do. I can't wait to be able to watch that. Is it good for the league to have 2 power teams that are going to be so much better than everybody else? I don't know.
I don't know. Candace Parker over at the Aces. It's pretty good for Kayla George, who's just signed over there as well. So congrats to her. Reward for an amazing season in the WNBL and obviously that bronze medal with the Opals.
Bit of movement. Sammy Whitcomb back to Seattle as well. She's going to get much bigger opportunities, obviously, with New York stacking up, and Ezzy also back at Seattle, so that's a good thing. And Talbot, she's a superstar.
And the LA Sparks.
Talbot. That's a big pickup for them.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. And we just wanted to sort of acknowledge all the Aussie girls as well because they've obviously, as I said, had fantastic years. And
Christy Wallace traded.
This is reward for that as well. Yeah, there's going to be lots of eyes, Aussie eyes on the WNBA in particular and just how the players are fitting in moving forward. So
shows the level of Australian basketball, the Opals level in the world game. So well done, ladies.
Someone who's had a big impact on that obviously is Lauren Jackson. Played in front of a record WNBL crowd the other day. Only lasted a couple of minutes, unfortunately, got injured. That was tough. That was hard to watch.
You could see in the interview, she was just devastated. Yeah. Felt so sorry for her because it was a time to celebrate what she'd done. Such a big crowd. Well done to all the Melburnians getting out there. They love to be able to support a superstar in a big event, and they did exactly that. So disappointing, and it's going to be tough seeing what she does from here.
Good news though, it won't require surgery.
Yep.
So yeah, we'll watch and wait on that one. And we alluded to this before, but Shyla Hill is obviously playing with the Townsville Fire. 2 games under her belt was ready, 2 wins over there in Perth. Mm-hmm. How has this sort of come about? How's she feeling?
Well, I think she's excited to be back with Shannon Seabohm, who she had a great season with 3 years ago, went to a grand final. And, I think, she's probably there to be able to just contribute and play a role around some of the superstars. They've got a really good backcourt and, she's sort of happy to play whatever role that is and play with a great coach and really good environment and for the end of the season and an opportunity to be able to try and win a championship. So it's exciting for her, I think.
I saw it written somewhere, I think it was the Perth coach who said that the move from the Flames to the Fire didn't pass the pub test. You see it there. How do you see that yourself? Because I feel like...
What does that mean?
I feel like we see trades all the time. In basketball, in football, in all sorts of sports.
And it's not a trade. I mean, every team has an opportunity to be able to sign a free agent if they can make the playoffs.
Yeah.
I don't know, what does the pub test mean? Like, it just reeks of sour grapes. They lost 2 games and he's crying about the result. If it's within the rules, I just don't understand what does the pub test mean?
The pub test...
If it's 2 pissed guys in the pub speaking about stuff they don't know anything about, then you're going to come up with the conclusion that he did.
I guess it's the ignorance involved. Although you'd think that the coach of Perth wouldn't be ignorant to that at all. As you say, probably just sour grapes.
Well, Townsville weren't the only team that obviously wanted her, and at the end of the day, her mindset was that she was going overseas, and things happen. But I think that probably the thing that WNBL needs to look at is a time that free agents can sign, because we're at disadvantages some teams. If some teams have only got 5 games left in the season, other teams got 7, that's where it's at disadvantages some teams that couldn't sign a free agent based on the schedule. I think that's where there's an inconsistency. But as far as the rules stand, everything's above board.
Well, given everything that happened with her at the Flames, congrats, Shyla. Love the fact that you're over there with the Fire, and good luck. They're on top of the ladder going into the final, so it's pretty cool.
I think they're going to be a good chance. For me, it's going to be them and Melbourne Boomers that's going to come down to. I think they're the only two teams that can win it.
Plenty more news coming up as well. Maddie Logue is in, so stick with us.
Breaking all the big news in basketball with Matt Logue.
All right, let's get into it. Maddie Logue is with us for the Logue Down. Maddie, we've got a bit to get through right now. A little bit of juice. What is the latest? Bryce Cotton and the citizenship fiasco.
It's a drama.
What have BA said, and where are we with it?
Yeah, so a lot of noise coming out of Perth because they want his citizenship, because there's a motivation for Perth because they want an import spot. The other layer is Basketball Australia is saying that they technically haven't withdrawn. They've basically decided that they're not going to continue the support because the AOC have a rule that Bryce Cotton has to be in an Olympic squad to be considered, for his application to be considered to be fast-tracked. So Basketball Australia is saying at this present point, we can't guarantee that Bryce will be in our Olympic squad. There are other players ahead, so we're not going to keep beating our head against a brick wall. We're going to leave it for now, and we may revisit next year in the lead up to the Paris Olympics.
But how can he be put in a squad when he's an American?
Because he's not a citizen yet.
Yep.
Basketball Australia are saying, I'm just presenting the facts and then we can discuss because he's fascinating. They're saying that because he's not a citizen, he's not eligible for FIBA games.
So, but why aren't they continuing to push for him to become a citizen? Like, where's the down? It doesn't make sense. Where's the downside? Even if they don't think he's going to make the Olympic team because of Matisse Thybulle, and I would take Thybulle before Bryce.
So I'm saying, so you just do it anyway.
He's an insurance policy. You don't know who's going to be available in a couple of years. Why withdraw it? I don't understand the benefit. It doesn't make sense.
I'm confused about the fact that this is to fast track his citizenship. The citizenship criteria is 4 years without having been left the country for more than 12 months. He well and truly fits into that. So surely it should be happening naturally, whether BA need to fast track it or not.
But it doesn't make sense of why BA would change their stance on supporting it.
Yeah. Well, there's
got to be more to it, right?
I think there has to be more to it.
That's what they're saying. It's interesting, isn't it? Like, because, there probably is more layers to this. I have no doubt there's more layers to this. But at this point, BA are standing strong and saying that we can't guarantee him being in our squad.
You can't guarantee anybody's going to be.
No, but in terms of not guaranteed, he's not in our squad. They don't.
He's not in their squad because he's an American.
Yeah, and also because they believe other players ahead of him. We're going to dig a bit deeper on this one.
Interesting. Come on, Hutchie, over to you. Make it happen. NBL award controversy. I take it you're talking about the Defensive Player of the Year candidates. I feel like that was the most sort of controversial section of the awards that are obviously coming up on Tuesday night. Solution? You got one?
Oh, well, it's just an opinion. Like, at the moment, obviously, we know there's a panel that decide the nominations. There's 8. And then the coaches and the captains decide the top 3, the final nominations that we see before the awards. Now, it sparked the issue that should this be independent? Should the players, the captains and the coaches be voting on... Because essentially, some of them, are they only going to vote for their own? And then,
I don't think they can vote for their own.
You can't vote for your own? Okay.
But they're still biases against people you don't like or you don't want to see win it.
You
or
could put your
whatever.
favourite. Anyway,
whatever it is.
Sure.
I
I think it needs to be independent.
Of course it
That's
does.
just.
But
you
did
know, my
everybody
opinion,
know
but-
the way this process was? There was a lot of
What,
people that blew up.
that the coaches and captains make the decisions?
Yeah, it seemed like you guys were both on the panel, copped a little
Yeah.
bit for some of the decisions about who were the top three, but you didn't even contribute to the top
I
three.
have no problem. Justin Simon, Dave Cooks, I think Taj as well. I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
All these people were on that list.
So was Brantley.
That went
Yep.
to the players and
Yep.
the captains and coaches.
Because I even got a well-worded message from a connection to Brantley saying, like, oh, I'm shocked. Like, how the hell is he not in the top three? And I'm like, mate, you can direct your question elsewhere, mate. But like at the end,
The one that stands out is Shaylee, not because he's a bad defender. He's an
No,
excellent
he didn't play
defender. He
enough
just
games.
didn't. Yeah.
Yep.
And so there's more criteria that can probably come into it as well. Anyway, that is a
Good fodder.
Yes, exactly. Larry has spoken about some new NBL licenses. We know that it's been on the cards for a little
long
while.
time.
People have been talking about possible locations. What is the latest there?
well, Larry's been more specific this time and said by 2024, 2026, there could potential for 2 new teams. So who? So who are the favourites?
You can circle Sydney for 2026, surely.
I think that's when the lockout ends with the
Yep.
Kings. That was the plan. The Kings are building. Look at the crowds. I think Sydney's ready for another team. I really do. Even in the most saturated sporting market on planet Earth, I think Sydney's ready for another basketball team. That rivalry would be
Melbourne.
gold.
That would be Melbourne,
That's
by the
exactly
way.
that's what I thought too.
Not
No,
Sydney.
don't worry about that, mate. You, geez, this bias.
No,
This-
Melbourne, factual, mate. They've got
saturated sporting
sport.
market.
That's Melbourne. There's definitely... it
You
should be
can tell he's a
Sydney. There has
rugby
to
league
be-
person.
Please.
There has
Anyway.
to be another team in Sydney.
This is good. This is good.
Canberra,
Speaking of
and,
good
Canberra,
fun,
what's-
Canberra and Sydney.
What's the other one then?
Newcastle's a smoky. It really is. No, and there are people that are pushing for it, and I think it's a market that could work, but it is requiring on the infrastructure. And Larry's all about buying into like building, venues and the profit from that, similar to Tassie. So I think they're a smoky, but I think Sydney definitely. I'd like to see Canberra.
Canberra. There was
I
an
just
argument for a Geelong Bendigo kind of mash-up at some point too, wasn't there?
I think Melbourne can wait. That's just my opinion. I think Melbourne can wait. Look at this. There's a bias
the
here.
Melbourne
No, but they
Basketball
can
League, you're all
wait.
for it.
They can wait. No, but I just think Sydney needs another one. I think you want to grow the game. I think Sydney. And I also think Canberra. I just love the links with the AIS. I love the fact that there's a history there. And the NBA Global Academy's there.
I
think that'd be-
presume we've thought about an NBL Ignite scenario as well, have we?
What's that?
Well, like just the same as the G League have got the Ignite team. Has the NBL considered anything with the NBA Academy in Canberra?
What, them playing in the NBL?
Well, you could potentially base a team down there, have your imports and locals come in, but maybe feed
I think I've got to make the most
three or
of that.
four
Like,
sort of
that-
DPs off of that. Have I just come up with the best idea ever?
You're the
Right.
greatest.
Yep. Done it. All right. We've got a big round of basketball with the play-in to get through. That's coming up just now. As I mentioned, we have a huge round of play-in hoops coming up. It all begins on Thursday night, a massive doubleheader. D-Ruck is with us to go through our crystal gazing, looking into the future. Derek, I'll come to you first. South East Melbourne playing host to Perth. Who wins it to go through?
This is almost impossible to predict. Oh boy, I didn't think Perth had any chance yesterday against Sydney of getting that 11+ point spread covered. I think they'll be confident now, Joe. I'm going to go with Perth.
Okay, I like it. Hammer, who wins that one?
No way. I think South East Melbourne, not only are they going to beat Perth, I think then they win their next game and they make the top 4. I think when they're at full health, they're one of the better teams in the competition. And I think with Creek playing the way they are, their imports coming back into form, I think they win this game against Perth easily.
Maddie, very quickly.
I'm going to go with the Phoenix, but with no confidence. I'd love to see Perth, though. I just think Perth, if they can get through to a point where they can play Sydney again, given that rivalry, I think that'd be great.
You just hate everything Melbourne.
Mate, we'll just
hate
go on the
everything
record
Melbourne.
and just say, well, we live in the better city.
I cannot
that's
see
fair.
Bryce Cotton going 1 of 19 for 2 games in a row, which is an ominous sign for the Phoenix. Next up,
you're going Perth, Joe?
I'll go Perth. Perth.
So
Next up, Cairns hosting Tassie. The winner goes through to play the Breakers, D.
Wow. These games, Hammer, I'm not sure I've seen 2 tougher playoff games in the history of the competition. I am going to go with Tasmania. I don't think Cairns have been that impressive at home this year, and I think Tassie are playoff ready. They've been playoff ready all season as far as I'm concerned. The Majet thing is a bit of a concern, but I'm going to go with them to get this game on the road.
Hammer?
I disagree again. I think Cairns have been ultra impressive. The way they've played and the way they play in Perth on Friday night with a whole lot of their superstars out, the games they've won without Pinder, I think they're a legitimate chance. I think they'll beat Tasmania. Majet's going to be a huge loss for them. Nothing but for respect for the way Tassie have played all year. I just think Cairns are going to be too strong.
Matty Logue.
Yeah, Cairns at home. I just think that helps. That's huge. And I think Shane makes a good point. Without Pinner, they've been good, and the Majet injury is massive. I just think that makes a big difference. So, Cairns to get the job done.
The New Zealand Breakers will be watching that one closely. The winner takes on the Breakers on Sunday. Derek, can you see either of those teams beating them?
Nah, Breakers are too tough right now. They've got their full squad back by then. Barry Brown Jr. will be fine. They didn't play that great in the last 2 rounds against Illawarra, the last 2 games against Illawarra and Brisbane. But the bottom line is they won those games. And I just think there's a good feeling in that group, Joe. They're going to the grand final eventually.
Hammer, do you agree?
I agree. I've been really impressed with their depth, the way they play together defensively, but they can put points on the board. They are the greatest challenge to the Sydney Kings this season. The Kings should still be title favourites. After that, for me, it's Southeast Melbourne and then Cairns is my 1 through 4.
Who will face the Kings in the semi-final series?
Oh, boy. I'm going to go with, wow, this is tough. I'm going to stay with the Jack Jumpers. I'm going to ride that little wave out. I think Majet's going to, I don't know what's going to happen there. I had one of those injuries. You can play within a week. He'll be all right. I'm going with the Jack Jumpers v. the Kings.
Oh, mate. Did you have a big night yesterday or something last night? Because, mate, you're all confused today.
Spicy margaritas, Hammer.
You can tell. And one too many, by the way. There is no way. Southeast Melbourne, I think, are slightly ahead of Cairns, even though Cairns can do anything. They're unique. They play a unique style. They've got depth. I still think Southeast Melbourne are going to play against the Sydney Kings. But I wouldn't be shocked if Cairns win that one.
Matt, who makes it through the semi-final series?
Yeah, I want to go the Phoenix as well. No confidence at all because it could be Perth, but I'm gonna say the Phoenix. And Shane is right. He makes some good points around the season that they've had, and I think Simon Mitchell's done a really good job this year as well.
Well, that first on Thursday against Perth, then it's Cairns hosting Tassie. Get your popcorn ready. Cannot wait for it. All right, the Mayor of Brisbane is still with us as we get into points made thanks to UPCOZ. Now, the headline, I love this. It says, how to blow up a developing powerhouse in one fell swoop. We're talking about Kyrie to the Mavs. Derek, what was your first reaction when you saw this news?
I was a bit confused because the Dallas Mavericks just let Jalen Brunson walk away, and now they got Kyrie Irving, who is, a far more talented player, Shane, but he's a far less reliable player. So I don't understand the whole exchange, but nevertheless, here's where we are. And now the Mavericks have to make do with 2 ball-dominant players. And it makes you better, but how much better? And is Kyrie really going to be happy there playing with Luka? I don't know if I like the personality mix more than anything, Shane. What do you think?
Well, I agree with that, but what I don't agree with, that it makes them better. It makes them more talented, but I'm not sure it makes them better because of that mix. I don't think these guys can get along. I don't think that Luka's prepared to sacrifice what's made him successful, and that's been on the ball the whole time, and that's exactly what Kyrie wants. But what they also do is then they allow somebody to come into that mix as a team that's trying to grow and allow them to be able to have some of the poor attitudes and behaviours that we've seen from Kyrie as well. They certainly become more talented, but I don't think they become better.
Kyrie has been fine the past 3 or 4 weeks since all that drama went down. He has been low maintenance. He's been perfectly fine. I don't understand his camp, why they want him out of Brooklyn. Surely it must just be for financial reasons, because we were seeing him perform at probably the highest level of his career.
I think it is purely about the money, but Kyrie is one of those people that could literally explode at any moment, D. So a comfortable 3 weeks, no problem. The question also whether Luka can deal with sharing a bit of the limelight, because we know what he's been like in the past with other star players and it's not ended well. I definitely think the Nets have come out on top in this situation.
Yes, they have, Jojo.
We've got to talk about LeBron. We're on LeBron watch. 38,387 is the goal. 36 is the number. That's what he needs to pass Kareem's all-time scoring record. They've got 2 games this week, one against OKC, the second against the Bucks. Obviously, it's widely anticipated he'll do it against the Bucks. Kareem drafted there, won a championship, MVP. There's a bit of a romance to it. A question, though, and I can't believe I'm saying this.
Don't say it. Don't say it. Do not say it, Jojo.
This is a Director Dave special, throwing you under the bus there, Dave. Does LeBron scoring or overcoming this scoring title help with the Jordan GOAT debate? Hammer.
No. I mean, LeBron James is a freak. What he is doing and what he has done for such a long period of time, I have so much respect for.
Yeah.
I have respect for the fact that his body can last. I have respect for the fact that he is motivated and his mind actually can push him through when he's got so much money, so many accolades. He's still out there trying to win. And it's incredible what he's doing. But he is not the GOAT. He will never be the GOAT. Just won't happen, Deep.
Well, look, Joe is leaving us to go to LA again on one of these little trips that she likes to take. And clearly she's going over there to watch LeBron break this scoring record. So I think that low-key she thinks he is a GOAT after breaking this record. Joe, I got news for you. It ain't happening, and it doesn't matter. He will never be the GOAT. He can be the all-time leading scorer. And I could even make a case, Hammer, that LeBron is the best all-around basketball player in the history of the NBA. However, GOAT means greatest. He is not the greatest. That is MJ. 6 titles, 6 MVP of those title games, title series. End of argument. Matter of fact, you know what a better argument is while I'm thinking about it? A better argument is who's had a better career, Steph Curry or LeBron.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. This is one for another day, D. But I agree with both of you. LeBron on Mount Rushmore, but MJ will always be the GOAT. Now, Dylan Brooks has been suspended for 1 game without pay. Donovan Mitchell fined for their little altercation. Dylan Brooks sort of hit out at Spider, got him in the groin. It obviously caused a bit of a scuffle. The Cavs assistant coach went and sort of tackled Dylan, it looked like. My question to you both, though, what are your best scenarios in which you were involved in something like this, Hammer? Because surely there've got to be a couple.
I went to the tribunal 10 times, Joe, so I'm not sure that I'm the right person to ask to narrow it down. But did you see that from Brooks? I can't believe. Why is Donovan Mitchell being fined for that? He should get just a free swing at being able to throw the ball at his head after that cheap shot that Dylan Brooks threw. But it might be a better question for D because he was probably a little bit less physical.
Yeah, look, I don't understand why Dylan Brooks keeps going after people. And he makes ridiculous comments. He's making comments about guys in the league. Like, dude, you're not that good. Just play good basketball and focus on that. And I agree, Donovan Mitchell did nothing wrong there. But Hammer, one day I got into a scuffle with one of my teammates in practice. And not only was he my teammate, but in practice, he was my teammate on my team. And he wasn't happy I was calling for the ball. So instead of passing it to me normally, he fired it at me. It bounced off my leg. So I went and attacked him. It was all in at the Razorbacks. Needless to say, that was that guy's last training session ever. Not sure where he landed after that, but he was promptly released of his duties with the team. So that was probably my biggest scuffle.
Beautiful. We might have to have some more margaritas to get a little bit more information out of you there, Dee. That is points made thanks to UPCOZ. We've obviously got a massive play-in tournament coming up for the NBL. Head to upcoz.com for all the markets. It's going to be so good. They'll also be covering the Super Bowl, Premier League and everything else. So thank you to UPCOZ for their support. Head to upcoz.com. Well, thanks to 2K23, we're going in depth this week with New Zealand Breakers coach Mody Maor, who's been kind enough to join us from Melbourne. Mody, thank you so much for being on the basketball show. Congratulations on finishing second. We saw the vision of you after you clinched a finals spot, the emotion coming out and just how much it meant to you. Can you just describe the last couple of weeks to us and the highs and lows and everything you've been through?
I mean, these highs and lows are not specific to these last couple of weeks. Coming into the season, we had big goals. We wanted to achieve big things, and we had a interesting starting point. After the last 2 years, a lot of turnovers in the roster, and at the end of the day, my first year as a head coach, so wanted to do a good job for everybody who's involved, for our players, for our community, for what the Breakers mean. Getting to 16 wins in a league that is as competitive as the NBL means we did some things right, so I'm proud of that.
Yeah, congratulations, mate. You've done an incredible job. But these results come from partly by the recruiting strategy you've had and the people that you've brought in. You've put together a really well-balanced team and guys that want to play defence, play with passion, but can also put the ball in the hole. Can you take us through that process?
I mean, for me, it started, or the goal at the beginning of the year was to build a team that plays in a way that resonates with the Kiwi culture and is a defensive-oriented unit, which is kind of how I see basketball first. You don't get to be a good defensive team without bringing in players who care about defense. It's not coach's magic. You're going to bring in guys who only want to score, then you're not going to be great on defense. So I'm very proud of the way these guys have responded. They have come together and bought into our schemes and the intensity that we want to play in, and our level of execution on the defensive end isn't bad at all. So, yeah, proud about it, happy about it, and still a lot of work to do.
Derek Pardon looks as if he'll probably come away with the Defensive Player of the Year. I know Jarrell Brantley's been in the mix as well. Ram Repair is also a young guy, but a very good defender. I want to ask you about him. A lot of eyes on your team because of his situation. There were 6 scouts at the Hawks game just last week. What have you made of his progression as he obviously heads towards the draft this year?
Next star situation is a complicated one and a beautiful one when you have a kid like Ryan. This kid is not about the noise and not about the nonsense. He doesn't like the idea of being a basketball player. He loves playing basketball. So all the stuff from the side are not really meaningful and don't distract him that much. As far as his development, for me, he's been the best next star that the league has seen. He's contributing to winning. He's playing a meaningful role. He helps us a lot. And what kind of gets left to the side is he missed 7 weeks of basketball. That's kind of that rookie jump that those guys make. When we had Usman, then he started the year terribly and made a jump somewhere in the middle, not because we're so good at what we do, just because players get acclimated to playing against adults, get acclimated to the pace, get acclimated to the intensity, and he kind of missed out on that. And he's still really helpful for us. He didn't score any points against Brisbane, but he was plus 15, the highest plus minus on the team. Defense target players, competes. He's a pleasure.
You've got so many valuable pieces that have helped contribute to this success, but one player I want to talk about is McDowell White. He's playing with such poise this year and a maturity that we haven't seen in past years, and it's added a consistency to him, and he's been fantastic to watch.
Will's a fantastic basketball player. Like every young player, he's only 24, he's just turning 25 now. There's growth in many areas that need to come. It was his three-point shot at the beginning, then it was his ability to finish kind of in the in-between with his floater, and the last part is him growing into his own shoes, feeling comfortable in a big role, taking on responsibility. I've enjoyed kind of walking this path with him over the last 3 years, and we love everything he brings to the table, and he's a big part of what we do.
Mody, we mentioned that you're in Melbourne at the moment. Obviously, the MVP Awards night tomorrow night. You're up for Coach of the Year. First season in charge of the Breakers. What does it mean to you to be recognised in this position?
I mean, well, the first part or the starting point for this is I'm grateful to be accepted into the kind of the basketball community in this part of the world. That means a lot to me. Other than that, I don't think it means much. Coach of the Year award is really something you give to a team you think has overachieved. And for a team to overachieve, a lot of people need to do a lot of things. It's not the coach. The assistant coach, the performance team, the players, the guys who play a lot, the guys who play a little, management, etc. So I'll take it as a nod for us overachieving expectations, and I'll be proud of that. And yeah, not much more.
Last one for me, mate. What's been the biggest adjustment? You've spent so much time, obviously, in Europe and coaching, and Australia's different, America's different. What was the biggest adjustment for you coming to Australia and seeing our league?
Cool. So I've been here this is my 4th season now. So this adjustment process hasn't happened in one day. I think the two main things that happen and kind of are very visible. One is the pace. This league is the fastest league in the world outside of the NBA. Well, Europe, or like EuroLeague, for example, is the slowest league in the world. So we're last in pace in the league, but if you put us in Europe, then we're one of the fastest teams. So that's an adjustment, an interesting one. The other side would be the referee, which is different.
You guys obviously finished second, so you're awaiting the winner of the Taipans and Jack Jumpers game. How will you watch that? Will you all be together? Will it just be you and your coaching staff? Do you approach it any differently to normal?
I'll watch the game probably by myself. These are teams we know well. We've played the Jack Jumpers 4 times this year. We've had 3 good games against Cairns. It's not a lot of secrets that go into this. There's the health issue. You want to see who comes out there healthy and who's healthy on our side. But other than that, it's kind of business as usual.
Well, you've done a great job this year. You're a fun team to watch, and I think you're a legitimate chance to really contend for a title. So I wish you luck, but you can wrap it up, Jojo, because that's what you do.
Definitely. Mody, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time. And as Hammer said, best of luck for the final series.
Thank you. Thank you very
Good
much.
on you, mate.
Cheers. That is all we've got time for, an absolutely packed show. Before we finish, 3 names for you.
Yes.
Jared Weeks.
Yes, Weeksy, well done. Didn't have a job years ago. So valuable, best bloke.
Yep.
Good player. Hopefully he's still in the league for another 100 games as well.
Let's hope so. Tim Conrad.
Yes.
The journeyman.
Can shoot it. Well done. Good job.
Yep.
Time to hang him up, but he's had a great career.
And Kevin White as well.
Kevin White, yep. Well done, Kev.
Shout out to all 3 of those guys. Fantastic servants of the league, and a couple of them will be missed and one of them won't, hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. Well done, fellas. Good job.
Big week coming up as well. MVP Awards night on Tuesday for the NBL. Will you be watching?
It'll be big.
Will you be there?
No, I definitely won't be there, but depending on what's on.
The basketball show of boycotting.
No, not at all. All for it. Let's go. Let's see what happens.
All right, thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you next week.
This is a co-production by News Corp Australia and Closer Sports.